right, Nick Miller here with Muscular Development. I'm here with Kevin Johnson.
How's it going, man? Hey, it's going.
So you're switching from classic physique to 212. Why don't you talk a little bit about why you made that decision?
Well, my pro debut was classic physique. I did the Chicago Pro last year, and most of the feedback that I got was I could be a little bigger, but that's not really constructive feedback because in physique, classic physique, we have weight caps. So I met my weight cap, and it was very hard to get to that weight. I took laxative the day of. I kind of did like no protein, no carbs, kind of fasted a little bit the day before just to make the weight. So I'm like, if you got to do that and sacrifice muscle to make weight, you can't really improve your physique. So I just wanted to improve my physique. So 212 is the next stage up.
So what were you weighing at the Chicago Pro?
Chicago Pro, my cutoff is 185. So I barely made weight for that. Yeah.
Were you disappointed with your placing there?
No, I was. It's my first show. Yeah. So I'm like, just to be on the stage in itself was an accomplishment. So I was happy with that in itself. But like after the show, looking at pictures, I thought maybe I should have been a placing or two higher. But it is what it is.
Well, let me ask you about the Arnold Classic physique division. How do you feel about the winner, George Peterson, beating Steve Lorius? Who do you think had the more classic physique, and do you think that Steve could have placed higher and beat George?
As far as classic physique, I feel like Steve had a more what we like to call aesthetic physique, more flowing, and George has more what we like to call a bodybuilder's physique. But I think because George, his presentation is clean, he controls his midsection, especially on his quarter turns. He looks like he has a very tiny waist on those quarter turns. So he does a good job, showing his physique in the way that it should be shown on stage. So with that conditioning that he brings, nobody in classic physique, maybe Breon, matches George Peterson on condition. So, you got to match him on condition if you want to beat him. And Steve just didn't match him on condition, although Steve was in better shape than he was his previous shows.
So what do you think about all the discussion about the vacuum pose in classic physique?
The vacuum.
I know you've got an opinion on this. So what do you? Should more people be able to do it?
I do the vacuum, but I try not to do it as a novelty, and I try not to spam it. I don't want to do it and keep doing it and people get tired of seeing me doing it. I'll do it in a lineup where I know nobody else can do it. Yeah. And just to expose
Make you stand out more.
Make me stand out. But should it be mandatory? It's something that if you didn't start practicing early on in your bodybuilding career, it's kind of hard to be like 10 years in the bodybuilding and then say I'm going to practice vacuuming. It really kind of don't work like that. It's like you skipped that stage. So it would take a lot of training and a lot of just diaphragm, breathing and stuff. It's hard. So I don't see a lot of guys that are going to go backwards and try to learn it. Should it be mandatory? Yeah, I think all guys should, but they skipping steps.
Right.
It should be a mandatory pose.
Mandatory in classic, but not men's open bodybuilding. Or do you think men's open bodybuilding?
I think all around, it's all bodybuilding to me. It's just weight caps and heights and different restrictions. Right. But the vacuum shows condition. I think it's a level of condition. You should be able to control your abdominal wall. And that's all it is, just you controlling your abdominal wall.
So speaking of the vacuum pose, Wesley Vissers, how do you feel about where he placed at the Arnold Classic?
The Arnold, was it
10th?
10th? I think that was a fair placing. I think he brought better condition. I just think structurally right now, he's just not what the judges look for a classic. And this is kind of a new era classic. I know when people think classic, they want to go backwards and say, well, that's 1960 or 1970 or 1980. That's fine. Those are errors, but, we're not in those errors anymore. It's good to kind of reminisce and kind of use that as a standard, but it's 2019. So 2019 Classic is a whole new definition, and they keep repeatedly showing us what they want. And I think his physique is on the opposite spectrum of what they're looking for right now.
Now, do you think that's something he can fix, or do you think the judging is just going in a different direction than his physique? And
I don't think there's anything that he can do besides maybe go open and just put maybe 20 or 30 more pounds on his frame. Then he'll be like a Gunter Slurkamp type of, you know what I'm saying?
That's a good comparison, yeah.
He's marketable. He's got that pretty boy look. So Gunter had that, and Gunter was just a mass monster. I think he would fare better with 20 or 30 pounds if he wants to go that route. I don't think he wants to go that route. But I think he would fare better as an open bodybuilder and maybe take a year or two off to do that.
Yeah.
But I just think classic right now, you're trying to fit a square into a circle, and they're not rewarding him right now for that.
Yeah, so. I agree. Well, I appreciate the interview, man. Nick Miller, Kevin Johnson, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.